I don't know. You guys are nuts. I don't know what to tell you. This is a very black and white situation. This is literally just about protecting the woman. Then again, I know you guys don't really know what a woman is.
And what people find so disturbing about the Imani Caliph story, I think, is the notion that a man is punching a woman in the face. So if you say you have no problem with this, with men, people with the biology of a man, even fighting women, even playing sports with women, do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to be watching a clip from the most recent Piers Morgan Uncensored episode. Been meaning to get to this clip for a couple of days now. And this is even more topical today because Imani Caliph, who has XY chromosomes, a biological male, has just won a gold medal in women's boxing. Years ago, this would have been abuse to women, but now because of third wave feminism, men are legally allowed, at least in the Olympics, to punch women in the face. Let's get into the video.
Riley, the issue here is not that they're trans women competing against women. The issue here is that they have XY chromosomes, is what has been claimed and made clear by other governing bodies in women's boxing who have banned them from competing in the last World Championships. So a slightly different case to the issue of trans athletes competing in women's sport, but nonetheless just as pertinent.
They failed the chromosomal testing that every athlete, I believe, has to take. The requirement is that women have to have XX chromosomes. These athletes failed. Here's what we know. I listened to the press conference yesterday put on in Paris by the IBA, and this is what we know. Both boxers were initially subjected to a chromosomal test by an independent laboratory in Istanbul after the IBA received complaints from coaches and competitors during the 2022 Women's World Boxing Championships. Both athletes were then retested in India again during the next year during the same Women's World Boxing Championships in 2023 to clarify and confirm prior results. This is when both athletes were then found to have XY chromosomes. Both boxers were informed of the results of the test in writing. Both boxers were given the opportunity to appeal the findings to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. The IBA even offered to pay for the majority of any cost that would allow both boxers to appeal. One male athlete, he did not appeal the decision. Imani Caliph, I would say the athlete that has received the most prominence from Algeria here, he appealed the decision, but then ultimately withdrew the appeal. That's what this is. This isn't an argument that is meant to be hateful. I mean, it's not even opinionated. These athletes are males, and males do not belong in women's sports. Really that simple.
And the simple way they can clear this up before they box again, they can actually just say, here we are, I'm prepared to take a test. Let's do a simple swab sex test. And if it turns out they have an XY chromosome, would you then accept that that makes them biologically male? And would you accept that should make them ineligible to take part in a boxing competition against a biological female? Yes or no?
If you and Michael will take a test proving that you're male and submit the results,
yes, I will.
I'll be fine.
I'll do it now.
The same.
I'll do it now.
Okay, really?
Sure.
So wonderful.
Of course.
Grass, you'll do it right now? Let's do it. Do it right now, and then Imani Caliph will show you all the records where she was born a female, identifies as a female, has female on her passport, went through all the testing. The Olympics Commission said she's fine. Boxed females, lost to females,
all they've
beat
seen
females,
is her passport.
and she's from Algeria.
She failed the sex test. They've just seen her passport.
If she failed the test, if she failed the test, she would not be boxing right now. The IBA is run by Russia, which is discredited. This is why the Olympic Commission says that we do not take the result. They laugh at them.
So why won't they do a test?
Since last year, they discredit them.
Why won't they do a test?
Because they don't have to. Because they realize it's nonsense fiction. You are going out of your way to put a target on this innocent woman who came from poverty and has literally worked so hard to medal, and you have created a fictional target and a bogey woman, and I hope she sues people, and I hope she medals, and I hope she does in life. I love it.
I hope she sues people, because you know what?
So
if she sues people, then we'll find out the truth. Let me go to Emily. Emily, it seems to me that this is a classic case, isn't it, where people on the left love to talk about promoting women's rights, right to the moment somebody produces a passport and says, I'm a woman, but has turned out to have been banned from the World Championships because they tested XY positive chromosome, which means they're male. They didn't appeal against the ban, and they refuse to take a test now, but they want to say, hey, look at my passport, I'm a woman.
Yeah, this is, you know, this
None of this is
subject, the fact that we have to talk this deeply about it is actually insane, because any human being on the planet that has any sort of common sense, and of course, this is why only Democrats disagree with this, go, if it's a man, they cannot compete with women. This is not about anything that has to do with trans people.
Pierce is correct. Just do the test again. Any normal person would. They would say, hey, listen, let me prove to you I'm not a dude. Do a blood test for testosterone, give me a swab for the chromosomes, and let's get back to it and leave all this nonsense alone. But there's a reason they're not doing the test, and that is because they are cheaters. They are weak men who like to beat up on women. They hate women, these people. This is my opinion. Iman Khalif, someone that they say is maybe born with DSD, and this could be true, and that's unfortunate. It's a mutation. Some people are born with it, but sports are not a right. They're a privilege, and that's why we have testing. If you have XY chromosomes, you are a male, and you're not allowed to compete with women. You have testosterone running through your body. Now, you might not have as much, or it might not be as accessible to you as other people with XY chromosomes, and we know this in society. Some people have higher levels of test than others, even amongst men. But that doesn't mean because you're on the low end of the spectrum of testosterone that you're allowed to just compete with women. You still have a lot of advantages that biological males have. Longer limbs, bigger bones, higher capacity for oxygen, bigger heart, bigger organs, more muscle mass. These whack jobs that say, no, this person has XY chromosomes, but none of the benefits of being a male is insane. Absolutely insane. And Cenk Uygar and this other fellow, whom again, I don't know his name, when they say, well, this person, Iman Khalif, she's lost some fights. So obviously she's not a dude. That doesn't mean anything. Let's use running, for example, because everybody in the world can relate to running. We have men and women's 100-meter sprints. And the men's world record will always vastly be superior to the women's world record. But that doesn't mean that if you took the best women in the world that they can't beat men. If you lined me up against the top women runners in the world, they would all smoke me by a lot. What it does mean is to find a top women sprinter that could compete with a man, you would have to have her compete with maybe the 5,000th best man in the world for her to be even close. And maybe you'd have to go down the list even more than that. It doesn't mean that women can never win against males. It means that males have an advantage. You are a cheater and you are a weak person if you're doing this, competing against women as a biological male. I remember a decade ago, Joe Rogan was talking on his podcast about this trans woman, a biological male, who was fighting in MMA. This person was a military person, I think a Navy man. He worked on trucks to save up money to do his sex change operation, got into MMA, and competed against women, and you could imagine what the results of that were. This was a decade ago, and back then, we all joked about men winning gold medals in women's Olympics. So many of us were saying, well, this is only going to end after a male wins a gold medal in the women's Olympics. And now it's happened. Now I think it's never going to stop until a woman actually dies at the hands of a male in a combat sport. Just do the test again. We literally have a male with XY chromosomes winning a gold medal in women's boxing. How did we get to this point? This person doesn't even pass the eye test. Like my grandma, God bless her soul, she passed away, knew nothing about combat sports and boxing. I could have made her watch these fights, these boxing matches, and not tell her anything about the chromosomes, and Khalif would not pass the eye test. My grandma, who knows nothing about combat sports, would know that it just doesn't look right. That one person definitely looks more male than the other. Win a gold medal, they test you anyway for doping. Just do the testosterone test and the chromosome test at the same time. Don't just test this person, just test everybody. Just make it across the board so that nobody's complaining that only I was tested for this. Test everybody. I'm sure everybody will be fine with it. Anybody who's not lying will be fine with it. It is an Olympic sporting event. You're expected to be tested anyway. How did we get here? Let's get back to the video.
I don't know. You guys are nuts. I don't know what to tell you. This is a very black and white situation. This is literally just about protecting the woman. Then again, I know you guys don't really know what a woman is, so of course you might have confusion, and especially when you're all about like women's rights. Okay, well, you guys weren't about women's rights when it came to forcing them to get a vaccine, but that's a whole nother story.
All right, let me bring in Cenk, who's been foaming at the mouth here. I mean, Cenk, I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and if she was competing in any kind of elite level sport, was potentially going to enter the... Well, you may throw your hands up in fury, but actually, I don't want her getting into a situation where her dreams and aspirations in women's sport are curtailed because people like you think it's fine for biological males to compete against biological women. It's not fine. It's grotesquely unfair. Now, you might say, as Wajahat's done, well, we can't believe a word of the tests that were done because Russia was behind. Okay, so do another test right now at the Olympics and show us the results. And if it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you then change your mind? Yes or no?
So you guys have no idea what my positions are. I've been fighting the left on this issue for a while, and a lot of people got really mad at us. I believe the Olympics should do the testing. I believe that it doesn't help trans women to compete in women's events, especially in contact sports. Now, having said that, this whole thing is based on a lie. The IBA never showed that test. It's a Russian loon who runs it. It was a Russian sponsor, their only sponsor, and they were worried that she was going to be. Hold on, let me actually finish, because you've been lying about it the whole time, Piers. Can I just finally tell the truth to your viewers? They never presented that case. There's no test. They totally made it up because they were worried that she was going to be a Russian boxer. Do you know how many times she's lost? She's lost. So she's lost. Why didn't she appeal? She's not some sort of demigod. She doesn't have XY chromosomes.
If they do another test and it turns out they are both XY chromosome, would you accept that that means they should not be competing in women's sport? Yes or no?
So for the Olympics, she would still qualify, but I would disagree with the Olympics. I don't think she should compete in women's sports if she has XY chromosome. No, but Piers, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, our positions are not at all unreasonable. But you guys, you don't even know that she has XY chromosomes. It's totally made up. But you are so obsessed with this trans issue. You mentioned you have a 12-year-old girl. I have a 12-year-old girl. I don't mind if she competes against trans girls in junior high and high school. What are you going to do? Check the genitals of all those kids? What are you guys, nuts? Now, at the professional level, that's a different story.
I do mind. I can't believe that. So you would be quite happy
go check the genitals of all the kids, you lose.
You'd be quite happy for your daughter to get beaten by biological males. Completely insane. There's a whole reason, by the way, we separate the sexes at the Olympics. You know what it is? If we didn't, women wouldn't win it.
Guys, if you enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel, help it grow, leave a thumbs up. Let's get back to the video.
And get to Riley. Riley, as the only elite athlete, I believe, amongst us today, correct me if I'm wrong, panel, but Riley, you watched that whole press conference. I didn't get the feeling it was just the word of one raging Russian loon, because I heard a lot of non-Russian accents getting involved as well. It doesn't change the fact, as he said, they were found to have XY chromosomes in a test. They had a chance to appeal that to avoid being banned, and they chose not to appeal it. That is so damning. And even if it isn't, even if it was all terribly unfair, as Cenk and Wajahat would like us to believe, do another damn test then. Show the world you're actually biological women. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Riley.
Absolutely. We see a lot of information being pushed out there that these are just cisgender women with elevated levels of testosterone. The IBA made it very clear they did not do testosterone level testing. They never did that, not even one time. We don't know what these athletes' testosterone levels are. What they did do was test the karyotypes of these athletes. The only requirement was that these athletes had XX chromosomes, and they failed the test. No, they haven't come out and explicitly said these athletes have XY chromosomes, but that's because the Algerian and Taiwanese Olympic Committee have refused the IBA to release these results. I mean, the requirement was have XX chromosomes, and they failed that. Therefore, let's use intuitive thinking here. Let's use our brains. We all have them. That means they have a Y chromosome. And if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male. I mean, do we need to send, like, half of the population back to 6th grade biology?
You just admitted that there is no such test.
She was they took a chromosomal test, and they failed. The requirement was 2 XX chromosomes, and they failed. Because of the Taiwanese and the Algerian Olympic Committee, they're not allowed to explicitly say these athletes have X, Y.
You know what? You know what?
Go watch the 30-minute. It's a 30-minute, very brief
You're going to keep saying everyone's lying, but the answer is just do another test and show us. And there's a reason they're not doing it. Let me bring in Michael. Michael, I think
okay, look, you can make up anything. You can make up anything and then demand a test.
They were literally banned from the World Championship.
True. So let's.
They were banned from the World Championship
by the IBA. A bunch of lunatics who've now been decertified.
So why didn't they appeal?
Because, not just because of this, because they make up things one after another. This guy's totally. Right. So, guys, look. We have to have the bare minimum of agreeing on facts and evidence. And Riley just admitted there, and you've admitted, Piers, that there is no such test, that it's never been produced publicly. You're taking the word of a guy who seems to be a total raving lunatic, no matter where he comes from. Okay.
So why didn't they appeal the ban?
So then your big thing is, I've accused you of a, hold on. So your big thing is, we accused of her of a thing that doesn't exist, and now she has to prove that it isn't true. Well, that's an absurd standard. I could accuse you of 1,000 things and demand that you prove that it's not true.
This is where you're being so disingenuous.
When did you stop beating your wife,
I'm going to bring Michael in, but hang on a second, Cenk. You're being so disingenuous. Because the truth is, they were both banned from the last World Championships because they failed a sex test, which is rightly said. Fine, but they had a chance to appeal, but they didn't. They took the ban. They accepted the findings of the ban, or they would have appealed it. That's the bottom line, which means they're male. They've got a Y chromosome.
Briefly, 80% of the female athletes at the Olympics are in favor of a simple cheek swab to test sex. Over 80% of the athletes, female athletes.
It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds. You do literally a cheek swab. That's it. And then you establish, are they male or female? I think you've got a more overarching solution to this.
I do, actually. But before we even get to that, which I think was simple enough and it worked a quarter century ago, I have this question for Cenk, because it seems like we're getting so bogged down in the particulars. What exactly are this fighter's chromosomes, and what leagues are credible in ascertaining this question? But you just said, Cenk, that you would have no problem with your daughter engaging in a sport, even we're discussing a combat sport, with someone who has male biology. And what people find so disturbing about the Imani Caliph story, I think, is the notion that a man is punching a woman in the face. So if you say you have no problem with this, with men, people with the biology of a man, even fighting women, even playing sports with women, do you think there is any circumstance in which it's okay for a man to punch a woman in the face?
Yeah, so I'm glad you're asking the question, because I said it, and let me double down and clarify so that no one's confused about it. So my cutoff is high school. The reason why I fought with the left is beyond high school, especially in contact sports, you are risking not only the women in that ring, but you're also risking trans rights. Because the minute that a trans woman knocks out a biological female in a way that is significant, right, and does real damage, trans rights are going to be set back 50
Hold on, though. I want to be clear, Cenk.
And I don't want that. I want to protect the trans community. Hold on. Can I just answer the question? You're saying,
hold on. I just want a little clarification. In high school, you're saying an 18-year-old man should be able to punch an 18-year-old woman in the face. 18 is fine. 19, that's when it gets
What boxing is there in high school? What are you talking about? In high school, there are no contact sports like boxing and MMA. If you're talking about wrestling, that's about as much of a contact sport as there is. So in high school, look, guys, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. First of all, this affects 7 people. You're being ridiculous. And the reason you're talking about that is because you don't want to talk about higher wages and health insurance for everyone. But if you want to talk about high school, what you have to do in order to let me just goddamn it answer the question. Can I just answer the goddamn question? So in high school, you're trying to find 7 people that you think is a problem. Oh, okay, apparently I can't answer the goddamn question. Okay, listen. What you're doing is you're saying in order to find the 7 trans girls out there that are so dominating these sports, which is not even true. Leidecker is dominating swimming way more than any trans woman is on any sport. I'm not going to test her testosterone. I'm not going to test all that stuff. But in terms of the high school athletes, I'm not going to go and ask all the state officials and government creeps to go check the genitalia of our daughters so that they could ascertain whether they're trans or not. This is a trans witch hunt, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Okay, great. Good for you, Cenk. You're not going to worry about whether blokes are beating up women. Great. Michael, what's your bigger solution?
Did I just say that? I said on the professional
I hate
level.
to sound like
Are
a
you
far
hard
right,
of hearing?
conservative
I know
here.
your trans hate has taken over your body
I'll wait
so
for Cenk
much.
to finish.
I have never hated trans people. I think trans people are entitled. I think trans people are entitled to the absolute same human rights as everybody else, and I've always promoted their rights to fairness and equality. Right to the point. It actually erodes women's rights.
It is absolutely mental. Just said that he was okay with his 13 or 14-year-old daughter competing with 13 or 14-year-old boys in combat sports or boxing in high school. That is an unhinged take. That is a mental take. He says, oh, you guys are weird. What are we going to do to check the genitals of the kids? No, bro. We can tell who's a man and who's a woman. Who's a young boy, who's a young girl. Nobody's saying that we got to check genitals of anybody. You got a dick, you ain't a chick. That's that. That's an unhinged mental take by Cenk Uygar. I'm with Piers Morgan, whom years ago I would have never thought I'd agree with Piers on so many things, but this is something that we all should just agree on. This is just common sense. A lot of the topics that we talk about in 2024, 2023, and 2022, they're just common sense things. Men competing with women in sports is ludicrous. What's going on? Why are we even debating the science and the biology? The eye test alone doesn't pass it. How did we get here that smart people across the planet are debating this? This is mental. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a thumbs up on the video. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.